Welcome to the Classes Permanent Podcast. We have a special episode here for you. We're calling this our. There you go. This is our MLS Primer. We brought in our chief MLS savant. I think our first guest ever. Were you on the first episode, Sosa?
I was on the first episode. I don't think.
Number
So.
2. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. But as you guys know, a real one, a ride or die. My roommate at one point didn't snore that much, honestly, back in the day. Every now and then. Oh, no, he used to snore like a motherfucker. He always snored
I
on
was
his
gonna say,
back.
I was like, why would you bring that up if it didn't happen?
You used to snore like crazy back then. Yeah, because he'd fall asleep on his back and be like, yo, roll over. Then he'd roll over, you'd be chilling. But
Just after a couple drinks, it was, it happens.
this guy could drink. All right. And of course, I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, my right hand man, a man with no left shoulder, Daniel Latosha Capucci.
I'm so happy I told Ethan my middle name. He didn't believe me for years. I had to show him my birth certificate. A lot of people don't believe me when I say my middle name is Latosha. They're like, what do you mean? And I was like, it was my great grandmother's
Yeah.
name. Yeah. So I'm glad Ethan brought that up finally. I've been waiting for him to drop that.
What nationality?
Kingston, Jamaica.
Fair enough. Alrighty. So a little special episode here for you guys. We know we did not have an episode earlier this week. Pooch, we have decided, why don't we do a little special primer for the guys? Instead of making a 4-hour episode on Friday or Thursday, why don't we sit down, take some time with Sosa, give him the 45 minutes he deserves. So with that being said, let's start it off. Sosa, just tell us everything that's going to happen in the MLS season. Go.
Yeah, everything's gonna happen. Miami's probably gonna wipe the floor with the majority of the league. And so don't watch the title race. Just watch all the teams that are competing underneath them for second, third, and fourth, I guess.
Mm.
No, it'll be fun. It's gonna be a matter of can Miami repeat as champions? I think they'd be the first team to repeat since the Galaxy did it in 11 and 12. I think. They're going to be trying to break their own points record. They're going to be going for CONCACAF Champions Cup. They're going to want the goal for Miami this year is how many trophies can we get? Not just can we get MLS Cup? They've got that in the bag already.
How
Now
many can you win in a calendar season or in a season? So MLS Cup,
they could
Open
win
Cup.
Shield, MLS Cup. They're in Leagues Cup and they're in Champions Cup, so they can win up to
Open?
trophies. No, because MLS set a rule 2 years ago where teams can only compete in 4
That's right.
competitions.
That's right. And so they have to send their kids, right? Or no, they don't even.
No, they're not competing.
Oh, that's kind of fucked up. I remember a lot of my season ticket holders were not happy about that because it's the oldest domestic tournament and stuff like that. And
yeah, and then we put in made up tournaments in its place. So it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, Leagues Cup very, very unpopular. But all right, I mean, listen. At the end of the day, we can talk about Miami for hours. And for those that don't know, and maybe Sosa, you can talk through a couple of the moves they made. I know that they made a lot of ridiculous moves in the sense of they just a team that already had Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alba went and got Sergio Reguilon. They got the goalie from Montreal, I think St. Clair,
Minnesota, yeah, St. Clair,
who was goalie of the year. They added a couple other star players, right? So like you said, this team is just ridiculously loaded.
Yeah, I mean they in a way they added by subtraction in kind of offloading Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets. Not to say that they were bad by any means, but you're kind of getting off 2 players who are up there in age, aren't necessarily doing the running to defend. So in theory, if you're going from those 2 and Messi and Suarez, not necessarily doing the defensive work to just Messi and Suarez subbing in every now and then, the odds are you're going to have a much more cohesive team.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, they've made some pretty decent signings. They signed Tadeo Allende, who exploded in the playoffs for them on a permanent deal from Celta Vigo. They signed Herman Berterame, who was a star for Monterrey and Liga MX. And at one point, I think was going to sign with the Columbus Crew, but that deal fell through last year at some point. You mentioned Dane Sinclair, huge goalkeeper to bring in ahead this year. They brought in players like David Ayala, who's MLS proven from Portland, and a guy named Mikael, who played as a center back for Houston. I believe went back to Brazil after 2 seasons in Houston, but he was a dog there. So they've just signed another monster to play defense basically and shore up a back line that was kind of leaky last year.
Cool. Cool.
Hey, Justin. It's Pooch here. First time caller, long time listener.
Hey, man.
Um, nice to see you again.
Always a pleasure.
It's great seeing you last. I think we had a lot of fun, a lot of joy. So getting kind of going off the Inter Miami stuff here. Um, how come Czar Garber is allowed or has allowed Inter Miami to only have three American players on their roster for this upcoming year when I feel like there are rules against that? And also, how come Benjamin Cramachi was loaned out to Parma? I feel like that was maybe a move Inter Miami might regret as the year goes on because of how good and versatile he is.
Right. I mean, I don't know that there's a rule that you necessarily need a certain amount of Americans on your team, but you definitely
Really?
are limited to the number of international players that you can sign to your roster. Uh, but Miami has a savvy front office. So I'll give them credit for that, and they know how to work around the cap and those kind of intrinsic MLS specific rules. So they do a good job in that sense. Yeah, I mean, this is a very South American heavy team, a very Argentinian team, and that comes as no surprise with Messi being your star player. Benjamin Kromaski, haven't heard that name in years. Yeah, I mean, him being on loan at Parma, it was a situation where like you're competing against Busquets and DePaul and all of these superstars for minutes. And the goal for Miami was to win. It wasn't to develop players. But to their credit, they developed him, and now he's getting a shot over in Italy to try and jumpstart his career over in Europe, rather than kind of just languishing on the bench here. But they might live to regret it. We'll see. It'd be nice to have a homegrown kid, playing some minutes for you.
Yeah, and just to follow up there, I think they will regret it, and that's not an opinion, that's just a fact.
Okay.
Um, uh, and
You're
I
like
f
Ben Kromaski
I'm
super, and I remember you knew his name from the
yeah,
jump.
yep, I've always known his name as Ben Kromachki. Yep, didn't call him anything else. And so it's interesting that you mentioned that there's no rule specifically for American nationality. I feel like in a lot of other leagues, there is that rule where you have to have a certain amount of players of that nationality on the roster. Um, a way MLS, as I've learned, kind of does like figures that out is the DP rule. Um, I believe it's don't know the name of it. I'm not going to try. But that rule, can you explain it to us? Ethan and I were wondering. We don't really understand that rule, and we know you're a
Explains
savant.
the designated player rule.
I think
Yeah,
we've
thank you.
asked you this every
Right.
time, and I think
Yeah.
ask this every time I see you too. So I know the fans are asking, do it in
We're
a
They're
way that makes
clamoring.
sense to real hoop heads like us.
Okay. So do you both understand the concept of a salary budget?
Same
yes.
thing as like a salary cap.
Yeah. Like, in baseball, you have a certain amount of money that you can spend on salaries.
Yes.
Okay. So every MLS team has to follow the salary budget. A designated player has a certain amount of money hit that salary budget, but they can make more than that. It just doesn't count against it. So like if your
So
salary cap is like $2.5 million, I think the DP number is like $650,000 counts against your cap. But if you're Messi, you could be making like millions, but only 650,000 counts
wait,
against you.
there's no way their salary cap though is you 2 million was just like an example, right?
I'm just throwing out numbers. I'm just
Okay,
throwing.
okay. I was like, that's ridiculous. Like these guys are making only
Yeah, yeah.
a couple hundred K is nuts. And my understanding too with the DP, right, is you can also trade it. Is that isn't that true? Like you can, or like isn't that something that happens? Like, oh, they traded for a DP spot. Or,
I mean, you could. I don't know of a team that ever has, because like you don't
of
like
course, you want that.
yeah, it doesn't make sense to trade it away. Um, but like there was I think RSL and the Red Bulls were involved in a trade once where like RSL traded the Red Bulls an international roster spot like indefinitely. Like they basically just handicapped themselves forever.
Okay,
I don't have the teams mixed up, but I know that there's like a weird trade that happened there.
I This is what I meant, because I think Miami just recently did this. Is it's not that you can trade it. You cannot trade a DP spot because they're fixed. You can acquire a third slot by paying $150,000 to the league, which I guess it used to be $250K. I don't know why they lowered that number, which is then distributed to all the other teams. I'm assuming in salary budget or something.
Well,
But why would everyone not just do that?
every team has three. So there's two different roster construction paths that teams can pick from. They can either pick 3 DPs and 3 U22s, or 2 DPs and 4 U22s. At the end of
Okay.
every transfer window, there's 2, this offseason one and the summer one. Each team tells the league like which route they're picking, and that determines like the salary cap budget hits and stuff.
When we say U22, you mean that it's the same thing as the DP, where it does not go against the cap?
Similar concept. I don't know if the salary hit is the same amount, but like you can sign a player that's under the age of 22. Let's say they, only $300,000 of their salary counts against your salary budget, but like that player can still be making so much more than that. And so you
Okay,
want,
so like Chicago could sign Yamin and put him
Lamine.
as an under 22 and
right.
Right.
pay him whatever he want, like whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm seeing here only about 200K. There's a couple of like stipulations, like for players age 20 and younger have 150K charge. Ages 21 to 25 have a 200K. I guess based on how long the player's been at your club, it also can extend to, I don't know. This is, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's probably not that hard, but it's also one of those things that I think it actually is valuable for people to hear. But let's get, Pooch, you have any
And
more
then
questions on cap?
yeah, I've a real quick another dumb question. Um So I understand that teams in the MLS can claim somebody like an international player and then trade for those rights. So, for example, didn't somebody else have Messi's rights and Inter Miami had to trade for those right, like pay for the rights
Discovery
from?
rights?
Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
how does that work? Is it as simple as me sitting here and being like, oh, uh, Miles Lewis Skelly, I really like him. I'm gonna pay for his discovery rights now, and then in 10 years when, like, Red Bulls want him, they pay me for his right. Like, how does that even work? How does it begin? Is it just teams finding these random players being like, we want their discovery rights"?
Yeah. So essentially, the way that the discovery rights list works is every team can to your point, like sit there. They can pick up to 5 players that aren't already in MLS anywhere in the world and say, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, I want to claim them on our discovery rights list. And if you're the first one to do it, then that player goes on your list. And you basically, what that means is you essentially have first dibs at trying to sign that player, um, if they are looking to come to MLS. I think the trade that Miami were that they had to complete, um, that they traded for discovery rights for, I think it was with Atlanta, or no, Atlanta did it with Charlotte. Charlotte claimed Miguel Almiron on their discovery rights list, even though Miguel Almiron is like a club legend with Atlanta. So Atlanta had to pay them money to then get his discovery rights, even though he was a former player of theirs, and then sign him from Newcastle.
Okay, that makes sense.
So why
Thank you
isn't
for
someone,
answering
and
that.
I know you kind of just, but like, why, like, shouldn't every team or whoever has kind of like first dibs right now be just trying to get Lamines?
I mean, he might be on a discovery. Like they're not public. That's the thing. Is that it's like
I thought it was like known, like you're,
no, that type of stuff like tends to come up like when the rumor starts circulating. And it's like I don't think he's on anybody's discovery list, or he's probably on Chicago's. But like Chicago was linked with Robert Lewandowski. So like when those
right, I
rumors start
remember that.
popping, we suddenly hear like, oh, but like San Diego has his discovery rights, so they've got to trade for it from them.
I guess you also don't want to take someone too early, where you take Lamine now and it's like, well, I guess this will be good in 20 years, which I guess is beneficial in 20 years, but you're like, I could, Neymar, I know Chicago had Neymar, I think, too. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Didn't Chicago have Neymar?
I don't know if he was on like the discovery rights list, but like, yeah, to your point,
Yeah, they
that's
were
how
linked.
it could work. Like you could go and be like, Lamine is on our list and just hold his name for however long you want.
I guess it's an opportunity, but you'd rather probably take a 30-year-old. Like whoever has Antoine Griezmann right now is probably thrilled because they're like, he wants to come to the MLS. Like, we're going to get a bag. Same thing with Lewandowski, like towards the end of his contract. Whereas if you're going for a 19-year-old, say you want Yan Diomande, right? Like just someone who just popped up this year. You're like, I could probably wait 10 years before this is even a relevant conversation, right? Like I don't have to waste my pick where I could go and get, I don't know, who's an old guy on Arsenal, Pooch.
Walshek Chesney.
Well, no, he was retired, and now he's a Barca legend. Um, hot take before we get back into the MLS. Chesney, better player for Arsenal or Barca?
Um, Probably Arsenal because he publicly went against Arsene Wenger just because he wanted to smoke cigs in the locker room after a game.
Barca lets him smoke cigs in the locker room. It's actually a joke. They'll post cigarette emojis next to his pictures.
Okay, hypothetical for you. What's cooler, getting into an argument about with your boss about smoking cigs, or your new boss saying, "Yeah, go ahead, smoke all the cigs you want"? What's cooler?
In what regard? Like, that's a pretty cool boss.
It's a cool boss, but going against your boss and being like, "Yeah, I'm smoking cigs in the locker room, so what?"
Yeah, I'll just defer to Sosa here.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, no, 100% Szczesny at Arsenal. I'm gonna have to agree with Pooch
Thank
on
you.
that one. And when St. Louis pick up his discovery rights to replace Roman
No,
Burke,
please,
sure,
God,
great.
no, please, God, no.
Oh, okay, okay. No, we don't want to see Roman in pink, or is Szczesny in pink?
No, it's not that. I just don't want to use another DP spot on a goalkeeper again. Feel
Right,
like
right.
that was a mistake.
Sosa, what do you think about the Tina Turner kit?
Good question.
It's an ugly kid. I'm
What?
I'm actually shocked that you thought the waves were actual wrinkles in the shirt. That the team and the league would post a picture of a jersey that wrinkly and just be like, "This is it." Like this is.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
If it was
I
just gold, I mean, it still would be kind of like if it had like a wave, maybe, but it's got like four that make it look wrinkled. It's just weird.
okay. I have a question for you that's MLS related. Who who in your opinion is the first coach to get fired this year, and why is it Johan Demet,
Uh, no, I
San
don't think
Luis
he'll be
City
the.
FC coach?
I don't think he'll be the first one to go. I actually think he might. He's going to do a decent job to start. I think the way that St. Louis
Wrong.
has like cleaned up house a little bit will help him. They're going to give him at least the season. I don't think there's unless he goes off the rails this season in the press or like against the team or whatever. Like I don't see them dropping him in the same way that they dropped Bradley Cardell. Like I think they've. I would hope that they've learned from that incident,
They have
but
not.
but we'll see there. First coach that's likely to lose their job. I mean, Montreal is always up there because nobody really can get that ship steered correctly.
Their fans have
Um,
low-key been rebelling, right? Like, don't their fans kind of like hate the board right now, or is it not Montreal? I feel
yeah, I
like
mean
I
they
saw
have an
something about
owner
that.
that doesn't care, and he put his son in charge as the sporting director, and his son doesn't
That's
really
so
know what
sick.
he's doing there either. So um, it's just kind
Do
of
you
a
think
good.
I was just gonna say, do you think if they fired their coach, Wilfred Nance is gonna come in and manage them since
No,
he's out of a job?
I think no, I don't think he'll go back there. I mean, he left because he wasn't getting the freedom he wanted to be able to sign players. And like, I mean, when you're in MLS, you're not necessarily signing $100 million players. You're just trying to get players that are competent enough to play the style of soccer that you want to play. And Montreal just was not willing to invest at all for him. So I don't think he'll find his way back to Montreal. He might find his way back to MLS, but definitely not with Montreal. Um, their well of coaches to pick from is running dry though, because if they keep running into issues with their owner and just every coach leaves and they're like, I can't work with this guy. I don't know who's gonna want to go there and do it anyways. So Godspeed to Marco Donadell, who's their head coach right now. We'll see if he lasts 6 months.
Mm. Real quick, and for those that are listening, yes, we are literally just letting shit fly. Like there is no script. There, at some point, Sosa's gonna ask us questions. All right, Sosa, tell me, we're gonna talk about Miami for hours. I don't want to even get into Miami anymore.
Okay.
Give me teams like for someone, and let's imagine a lot of our listeners are, and as you could probably imagine, we have a really big European fan base, a lot of foreign fans that listen. So for those that maybe have interest in getting into the MLS, right, the global game, the World Cup's coming. What are some teams here that you would suggest, like, hey, like keep an eye on? They're going to play some beautiful footy this year. I'm not talking about teams that are going to win a lot. I don't need Arsenal, right? You wouldn't maybe tell people to watch Arsenal this season because they don't play pretty footy. But like, what's a team that like, all right, I can get behind this. It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think ironically in MLS, the teams that are finishing towards the top of each respective conference, like, are the ones that are playing prettier or
Right.
at
I
least
guess
more
that's fair.
better. Well, no, I mean, like, to your point, like, I don't think there's a team that plays like Arsenal that's necessarily playing well
Haram,
enough like that to be
haram ball.
the table. Yeah. Nobody's playing haram ball and finishing up top. DC United's doing that and finishing at the bottom of the table. So but no, I mean, if you're getting into the league for the first time and you're trying to figure out a team to watch, that's kind of like appointment viewing, if you will. You can't go wrong with the Philadelphia Union, with FC Cincinnati, with Miami, obviously with them getting some new players this year. Those are the teams that are kind of like the powerhouses of the East. They play between Philly and Cincinnati. They play kind of like a derivative Red Bull soccer where it's super frenetic, but they're capable of playing on the ball as well. And they have fun
Yep.
players. Like Cincinnati's got Evander, who's good for a worldie every other game. Philadelphia is always bringing through young players that go on to represent the U.S. Um,
We're pretty anti-Philly on this podcast, so just relax
no,
on
fair
that.
enough. I'll talk about them positively because the Red Bulls still have one more shield than they do, and as many cups. So we're rocking in the same boat at this point. So I hold no ill will until they actually beat some. Yeah, we hate him here. Like, just barely. If I walk 20 feet across the street, like, I'm back in Jersey. So,
Hell
but
yeah, brother. You can still smell that Jersey air.
exactly, Phillipsburg is just across the river.
There you go. Talking about players, walk me through here. Tell me players to watch. Maybe like again, I don't want to hear like Messi, right? Obviously, we all know. Tell me some of the names like that you're excited to watch this year. Tell me maybe a breakout player. Tell me, I don't know. Just tell me stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Timo Werner's a big name that came over. He's now with San Jose after the Red Bulls try to court him for over a year, and he just beated
Sosa.
us.
Let's take a
Yeah.
T right there. Timo Werner's shit, brother. He ain't gonna do
No, he's
shit.
shit, but he's a name that came over
Except
to the States.
fentanyl. The only thing he's doing in San Jose is fent. Like, he's gonna
Oh
be
my god.
Not under
tenderloin.
Sarina's watch. He's keeping them in
No,
line.
he's gonna be fent folding in the tenderloins. Like, it's gonna be wild to see.
I don't even know what are the tenderloins.
Bad place in San Francisco. Do not
No,
go
he's
there.
in San Jose, dude.
Yeah, it's the city underneath San
The Bay
Francisco.
Area.
Are they that close?
Kind
Yeah.
of. Not
I am
really. They're like an
very
hour
good.
apart.
Okay, I'm very good at geography. California is a mind fuck. I always assumed that San Francisco was like southern. I don't know why. North Cal. I don't know. Like I can't figure out that
Ethan,
state.
I'm gonna be honest. You're the first person that I've ever heard put in a sentence. I'm really good at geography, but I
There we
always
go.
thought San Francisco was in Southern California.
You're like a Cali boy, huh? You just know everything about California?
Well, I put two and two
Malibu pooch?
together. I put two and two together in terms of San Francisco, Redwood Forest, LA, beaches, sand. They go hand in hand.
You really thought about it a lot more than I have. I just kind of was like, San Francisco, nice weather. Like, you're really like thinking about shit, man. How about you think about pronouncing shit, huh? All right.
I've been trying. I've been working on it. Did you hear me use circumnavigate earlier? That's a good one.
That was good. There was something you keep saying Yamin. I don't know who you mean. It's either Lamin or Yamal, and you just condensed it.
I think I'm combining.
Yeah, just call him Larry, bro. It's like
Okay.
That's who he is.
Okay. I'll call him Larry.
I've also heard we keep saying Darby instead of Derby on the podcast, and people aren't a fan of that.
No, that's just
Okay.
Jersey. That's just
Yeah.
Jersey talk.
Sorry
It's
that
also
we have a sponsor
here.
that I'm very proud of. Yeah. All right. Don't
aside
talk about
from
Timo
Timo
Werner again.
Werner, James Rodriguez signed with Minnesota
Yeah.
United, so that's going to be a big one to watch. They played haram ball actually and did pretty well. So they're like the one team that's the exception there. Um, but allegedly they're under a new style of play, and James is kind of the centerpiece of that. So we'll
Do you
see if
do
that
you think
lasts beyond the World Cup.
James how long do you think James lasts in Minnesota?
I mean, I think he's just gonna. I think he's there for 6 months.
Okay.
Like he's
Okay.
there to be ready for the World Cup, and then after the World Cup, it's anybody's guess of whether he even flies back or not even flies back, but like shows back
Oh,
up in Minnesota
you may
to
need to fly
continue
back.
playing.
Okay. Give me some names that we haven't heard. Maybe give me like I don't know. Maybe they could have even broken out last year. You know what I mean? But maybe a common fan wouldn't know that you're like this guy is going to be exciting. I know some of the NYCFC guys. I know some of the Red Bull guys. Obviously, if one of those players are who you were thinking, but I don't really follow enough of the MLS outside of the teams I watch. So maybe there's some cool players to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, Orlando signed a trio of Brazilian players, like all young Brazilian players. I think filled their three U22 spots. Iago Tadero was one of them. He's like used to play for Brazil's U20s. Um, he's an up and coming center back that should be good. Steven Eustáquio signed with LAFC from Porto. He's a midfielder for Canada, but has been over in Europe for the majority of his career.
Okay.
So he's going to be fun. He's not necessarily a breakout player. He's much older, but it's
Right.
going to be a fun player to watch, anyways. I'm excited to see Jorge Revolcaba play for the Red Bulls. They signed him from Liga MX, and that's like the first signing in years, aside from like Forsberg and kind of Choupo-Moting, that I was like, oh, like we're actually like looking at decent
Going
play,
for it.
trying to bring somebody in. Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be fun, at least to see. And then some young, like former U.S. youth national team players are coming back into the league. Kate Cowell signed with the Red Bulls from Chivas in Mexico. And Griffin Yao is coming back over to New England. He's been over in Belgium for a little bit, but he broke through with DC. Um, so a lot of like fun small projects like that where it's like kids that definitely had some solid potential when they were like 16, 17, trying to take the jump to Europe, but didn't necessarily land, are coming back now and trying to kind of refine their footing in the professional game. So a couple of fun names here and there. A couple of names coming in from Liga MX and, the usual South American countries that
What
the MLS has been
what
scouting.
was up with Cade Cowell? Because that was something that confused me. Because he was doing pretty well in the MLS, right? And then he went to Mexico. Was that supposed to be a move up for him? I was a little confused when he made that move, and I don't know enough.
I mean, it was a move. I mean, he played for San Jose when San Jose was
Okay,
just
that
like
team,
on
yeah,
the yeah. So any move to an opportunity to play for Chivas, and that's interesting too because they only sign Mexican players, and I believe like it was initially Mexican born, and now it's like Mexican heritage.
yeah,
Because Cal, I'm pretty sure, was born in the States. He represents the United States on the national level, so
right, right.
it's very interesting their project there. So that was a move up when he left, and now he's back stateside. Not necessarily because he hasn't found success at Chivas. It's just definitely been hard for him to lock down a starting spot. Bit of a limited player. He's very just kind of physically inept. Technically,
Okay,
I still got a lot of work to do. So
cool. I just remember when he was at San Jose being someone I was kind of excited to see for the U.S. because he was a young, exciting American, and I think he had a pretty good he's got a good frame to him, right? Is he
yeah,
not like a bigger dude?
he's shorter than you. I think he's my height. He's like 5'8",
Which
five
is
nine. But
oh
the
wow.
way he's like built makes him look much bigger than
I was about to say I
um,
thought he was like 6'2".
is.
No, he's 6 foot. He's 6 foot.
All right.
Maybe like
Then
a Miles Powell 6 foot.
to be fair, he also did become a professional at 16, and you don't necessarily stop growing at 16, so that could have definitely happened.
Understandable.
Um, Sousa, quick question for you. So there are two teams in the Western Conference that had completely opposite seasons, and so San Diego, first year, tops the Western Conference, kind of has that St. Louis City type run, maybe not playoff wise, but regular season wise, in their inaugural season. Do you see them taking a step back a little bit? And then the second part is LA Galaxy, a traditional powerhouse in the MLS throughout its history, finished dead last in the Western Conference. Do you see them taking a step up this year? Like, where do you see those two teams on the opposite ends of the spectrum, essentially, the Western Conference landing?
Yeah, I mean, I think San Diego takes a step back in terms of like where they finish. I don't think they'll finish in first again. I think LAFC is gonna do that. They have a full year of Heung-min Son playing up top with them. And they brought in Steven Eustachio, like I said, some really tried and true players that I'm sure will help them bounce back up. But in terms of being like one of the top teams in the league, I don't think San Diego is going to take a step back. They have a style of play that they showed last year that they can pretty much interchange any player they need to, and they'll still go out humming. Irving Lozano was a big part of the team at the start of the season, and then he fell out, but the results didn't change, and they lost players due to injury and suspensions along the way. But again, they've bought the players have bought into their identity so much so that like you're just rotating the guys in and out and they're not losing any traction at all. So I think they'll
Yeah.
still stay pretty high up in the standings. Now, if some of their younger players get bought up, they have a center back, Monodua, who's has the potential to win both Defender of the Year and Young Player of the Year this season. He's just phenomenal, really good on the ball. If he comes and gets swapped up by somebody from Europe, is that a big impact, or do they have a center back that can fill in there? That's like a question mark that'll pop up halfway through the season. But I don't think San Diego will necessarily take a step back in terms of quality. I think the Galaxy will take a step forward. They'll also be stepping up. But just because I think the West is always chaotic, there's never really there hasn't been a hierarchy of which teams are like the top tier, which ones are in the middle of the
Mhm.
pack, and which ones are kind of just playoff hopefuls for a little while. It's always like LAFC, Seattle are definitely going to be in the top 2, 3 teams, and then you'll have like a San Diego or a Vancouver come up and be part of that top 4, and then the rest is just you're just all fighting for scraps at that point. The Galaxy don't have Ricky Puig again this season because he's undergone surgery again after he tore his ACL 2 years ago, or
That
I
was
guess a year
insane,
now.
right? The first surgery like wasn't successful, right? Or like they relapse. I don't know. I remember seeing that, and it was really
Yeah,
sad.
it was like a relapse in the injury, so it's kind of what caused the second surgery, which is disappointing. Like he's a fun player to watch, so and he dragged them to MLS Cup before they went on and won MLS Cup in 2024. So it's disappointing to not have him there, but they've reinforced their team with defensive signings that they've really needed. They brought in Jacob Glesnes from Philly, who's been a best 11 defender a couple years in a row now and was solid for Philadelphia, and Justin Hack, who was playing center back for NYCFC the past couple of years. So they've tightened up in defense where they really have needed to. And so if you're able to raise the floor in the Western Conference in that sense, then you give yourself a fairly decent shot at finishing in a playoff spot at least, because their offense is ridiculous with Gabriel Peck and Joseph Painsel.
And does it concern you a little bit that one of San Diego's best players who happens to have played in the championship, I don't want to name names, but I've heard from a trusted source that he frequents Tijuana midweek. Um, from my source, it is. Huh?
What are you thinking about?
Alex Mighton, the GOAT.
Alex, who? You cut out.
Mighton?
He's like a random youth national team player that just got picked up by San Diego. Yeah, the former, what was it, Nottingham Forest, I think, before he came here,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Middlesbrough.
Uh, just a rumor though, but I heard from a source that he frequents Tijuana often.
Oh, well, he's just having a good time, He's waiting for his opportunity to get rotated into the lineup and actually do
Okay.
something.
I just wanted to know from your vantage point, will that be an issue moving forward for San Diego?
No, I mean, he did it all of last year. Allegedly, he did it all of last year. No,
Allegedly. Yeah.
it's not going to be a problem this year. He's chilling.
Okay. All right. I
There's
just
nothing
wanted
wrong
your
with a
take
day
on
trip
that.
to Tijuana.
Well, I heard it was more than a day trip, but we'll leave it at
Oh,
that.
all right, okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of ripped through. At the moment, I don't have anything coming to mind, so I'm just gonna ask you, Sos. I mean, talk to me a little bit about the season. Like you as a true savant, right? I think Pooch and I, we kind of have our teams. I think we're relatively fans. of our teams. But you know, at the end of the day, with all the we both are obviously dedicated to our European teams. From my time knowing Sosa, it's always been Red Bulls first, and maybe I'm wrong with that, Sosa, but it's always been Red Bulls first, and then like maybe Porto, and then U.S. Portugal national team.
Benfica after that.
That's gonna be a crazy episode tomorrow. Do you want to come on for that tomorrow?
Absolutely not. The silence I received in the Twitter group chat from sending it was spoke volumes. I was like, all right.
What did you send? I'll look
I
right.
sent the stuff about
He
that
sent
happened.
what did it say? It was like your it was in Portuguese. So I don't know Portuguese. It was like
But did he actually
It
say
was
your
racist stuff?
he said well
No, it
Sosa
was
said
the
in
whole thing between
Portuguese.
Vinicius and Benfica. Yeah, Benfica's account posted like a clip. So ridiculous.
And
The
then
clip
Sosa
of
posted like Siempre Benfica or something. You were like agreeing with that?
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Definitely not
Oh, I'm
that.
seeing it now. As the
Send
image
it to his boss.
demonstrates, given the distance, the Real Madrid players could not have heard what they claimed to have heard.
I mean, we'll just
Oh,
talk about it
oh,
first.
I see. Okay, I see. All right.
We
Okay.
this is I've already like a big reason we're doing this episode right now is because I've already slotted probably 30 minutes to talk about what is conspired during the game, after the game, after the game, like all of it. So I don't want us to poison Sosa's good vibes here with the MLS, but definitely craziness. We are all against Benfica, which is crazy because I was in Lisbon this summer and I almost stood with Benfica. I almost decided to make my Portuguese team Benfica. I'm glad I didn't tie any bandanas.
Yeah,
I'm
drop
glad I didn't buy any merch.
pick up the green one if you're gonna pick up one in Lisbon.
Yeah, I might. I mean, Stadio de Drago. That's pretty cool. But maybe you can convince me one day on Porto. That being said, Sosa, as a true like savant of the league, right? Don't give me like the storylines, the big ones. Give me like truly like what you were looking forward to. Obviously, you're a big Red Bulls fan, so I'm sure you'll be looking forward to their season. But like, tell me like, what is something that you're like, I need to watch this, or I'm excited to see this, or like, this is my hot take. Give me something good that people at home can maybe say to their boys, and then it comes true, and they're like, holy shit, this guy's a savant.
Yeah, I mean, well, as a Rebels fan, I am like this is the first season in a long time that I'm like actually looking forward to the start of it. It's nice to have a recognizable name as our head coach. Given Michael Bradley hasn't been a head coach for very long, and whether or not he's like the right choice to be taking over at this point remains to be seen. But it's cool having him as our head coach. The players
Yeah.
seem to have been reacting to him very well. And Dylan Nealis in an interview said that in his time with the team, which I think at this point he's been here for 5 or 6 seasons, which is like 3 head coaches now. This is he said this is the clearest the instructions have ever been as far as like
Okay.
what the expectations are and what they want to do on the field with the ball and without it. So I'm excited to come see it, come to life. Excited to see some of our young players come through and just in general see kind of how this project moves forward. Hopefully it's a sign that the Red Bull mothership is actually paying attention to us at this point. But aside from my own fascination with the Red Bulls, I am excited as a guy who has to side with his Jersey people to see how Vancouver does again this year. Brian White, who was traded from the Red Bulls, is over there and continues to kind of light up the league on the scoring charts. But they've got guys like Thomas Muller on the roster too.
I forgot about that.
Always that are sick over there, and they were a great story last year. Um, and then, I mean, in general, it's just seeing like if some of these teams that are perennially at the bottom, like a DC United, like a Montreal, like a San Jose, can actually like put something together this year. I think before we started recording, I said, there's like a ton of new coaches that are in here in the league this year. Again, Columbus has their new coach after Wilfred Nancy left, so interested to see like if they change styles, if they evolve styles, how that works out. So it's always just fun because the wheels are always turning and things are always changing in the league, which A makes it difficult to cover, but also B kind of always gives you something to look out for
Right.
every year.
Okay. And
So,
then yeah, go on.
Sosa, yeah, my last question for you is we know probably two of the major derbies in MLS, El Trafico, and then what is it called? The Hudson River
Hudson River
Derby?
Derby.
Yeah. But can you give us like three maybe unknown or maybe not as well known derbies that are actually like super big that people, when they see on their TV on like a Thursday night or a Saturday night, they're like, oh, I have to turn this one on because Justin Sousa said this is a top derby in the league.
I mean, I think objectively, Seattle versus Portland is a great rivalry between those two teams. Technically, it's the Cascadia Cup between the two of them in Vancouver, but I think there's more bad blood between Seattle and Portland, genuine bad blood between them and their supporters. That's always a great game to watch, whether they're at Portland or they're at Seattle. The atmosphere is fantastic. I think the noise really comes through on the broadcast too for those games. So I would definitely tune in for when those teams play. They're going to play each other twice this year, at least in the league. So that's appointment viewing, in my opinion. I'd also say too, and this is one that flies under the radar because neither team is very good. But Toronto versus Montreal in the Canadian Classique, as they call it, also is one of those where it's like whether it's in Montreal or if it's in Toronto, I feel like the noise really radiates through the screen when you're watching, and it's like you can kind of see it in the stands, like how much that game means to them, and for also the Canadian players that are on the roster. I don't know so much if because of kind of where the teams are, if the international players really resonate and understand that rivalry, but you can see it in guys like Samuel Piette for Montreal and Jonathan Osorio for Toronto. Like these are guys who have been playing for those teams for years now, and they really get what that match means, regardless of where they are in the standings. So that's always just a fun one to watch as well. But yeah, I mean, I think those are the two big ones that I'd call out. Uh, these aren't necessarily rivalries, but they're fun games to watch because of the ties that exist between them, like Cincinnati and Philly. You've got a front office guy and a head coach in Cincinnati that both used to work at Philadelphia and kind of copied that model to an extent to bring success to Cincinnati. So whenever those two teams meet, feels like fireworks are kind of going off there. And then you've got to tune in for Nashville versus Chicago because you're getting BJ Callahan versus Greg Berhalter, getting former U.S. men's national team head coach and assistant coach going
I
at
love
it.
that.
But BJ has won both games, I think, that they played last year against each other. So
Shocker.
great
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean,
He's
wasn't
got
he
great.
like amazing?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like one of the teams to look out for this year. I think if I were to call it like a team is Nashville. Again, another team that did really well this offseason, brought in Christian Espinoza from San Jose, who was on a terrible team but put up great numbers despite of that, or in spite of that, I should say. And now between him, Hani Mukhtar, and Sam Surge, like that offense is unmatched by like other than Miami maybe or not
Yeah.
maybe like Miami is probably the only team that has a better front three than them at that point. So that's a team that's going to push for like a top spot in the East. Um, so yeah, fun stuff to watch there.
Team.
Ethan Pooch, you guys, like you said, are relatively strong fans of your respective MLS teams. Ethan, I
Yep.
know you're a NYCFC guy. Pooch, I know you're excited when St. Louis came into the league and still are. Give me your guys' opinions on how you're feeling ahead of this season. You know, I talked a lot about the Red Bulls and just MLS in general, but give me your thoughts on your teams and what you're looking forward to.
I'm excited that hopefully we can win like 15 games this. I'm not excited, but this team doesn't fill me with excitement. I think our management, I think you mentioned it earlier, our management has been so poor between their usage of the designated player. And I feel like we haven't been aggressive enough in the transfer windows, along with getting rid of somebody like Bradley Carnell, in my opinion, way too soon. And then you just saw a revolving door of managers over the past year or two that just like kind of put us into obscurity after a year where we performed so well. Um, so I'm not super excited. I guess I'm excited, like you said, that they've cleaned house a bit. But after such a high of that first year where I was able to talk my shit for the first time ever in the MLS to now like basement dwellers for the past couple of years, I it's tough to get excited for this St. Louis team. I I got my hopes up too much about Marco Royce and then also Thomas Mueller because I thought we had Berkey was able to get them with the Dortmund and German connections respectively, but he obviously did not. I don't know. I feel like we need new blood to energize the team, the franchise in terms of players, and I think that currently what we have doesn't get me excited to watch St. Louis City week in, week out. I'll try my best to tune into them, but like I'll pay attention where they are in the standings, but the team that we have right now, it's tough to block out 90 minutes a day to be like, let me watch my team get thrashed by a LA Galaxy Ricky Puig list.
Sosa, great question. We appreciate you throwing it back to us. People don't often do that. And by people, you're only reoccurring guest ever. So that maybe we'll set a tone there. I think with NYCFC, especially finishing last year in the Eastern Conference Final, obviously the goal is to try and get back there to win it. I don't know if they necessarily have the strongest team on paper compared to some of the other teams you were talking about. Obviously, in the East as well, you got Miami. So we've kind of already talked about that. So like you said, it really is kind of a rat race to those top 4 spots. I guess in that case, 5 through 2 more than top 4. But with that in mind, I think Pascal Janssen did a terrific job last year. With the first-year team, didn't really spend money on his team, just kind of took what we had and ran with it. Alonso Martinez being out with the ACL tear is not good. He is, he is essentially like Tati Castellanos 2.0. Quick, pacey, gets in behind, scores the big goals, kind of does what you need to win. But that in mind, I can't remember his name. I think it was like Nico or like Nicholas Mercado. Yeah, like Nicholas Fernando Mercado, who came in last year, I think like midsummer. He came in from, where was it, like Elche, and he maybe not. Yeah, it was Elche. He came in and kind of like really, really impressed. He's exactly what you want when you have a player come over from Europe. So again, like just seeing this team kind of like, get their groove again, start to figure each other out. It is sad that Justin Hack, the NYCFC like academy boys, left. He went to the Galaxy, and it's funny, when I first started working with NYCFC, one of my season ticket holders who was there with me the whole time. First, we were like, how the hell does Justin Hack still keep getting on the field? He like played a lot of DM, then he became like a center back. We're like, how is like he just keep getting on the field? It's like kind of like Eric Garcia for Barca, where it's like he's actually become a very good player, but for a while you're like, dude, how do you just find us? Like, why are you like the go-to guy? Now that it's just funny looking back, and like now Hack's gone, it's like, damn, that's gonna hurt a bit. But yeah, I mean, Talos Magno's back, which the joke always around NYCFC, and not even the joke, but people used to say like when NYCFC signed him, there was reports of Real Madrid were trying to sign him at the same time. So they would always say like, oh, we beat Madrid to him, and looks like Madrid ended up getting the last laugh because of the way his career's panned out. But again, excited to see this team. Really love Matt Freese. Since he came over from Philly, he has been a stud. I remember that season again. Who was the starter that year? It was what was his name?
Yeah, Luis Barraza.
Yeah, who wasn't a bad keeper by any stretch, but it felt very like he had hit his ceiling. And Freese was this young, like, I mean, you just look at the guy too. He's like a prototypical, like, he's a long, lanky goalkeeper. So I'm excited to see how they do this year. Excited to see Pascal Janssen year 2 and some reforming of the team. I mean, David Lee, the technical director, left right at the end of the season too. So like kind of a new mind in there. I think it's the Kansas City. No, he went to Kansas City. This is the USL guy from, do you know where? It was like Washington or something, or Portland, or one of those USL teams. Sacramento? I think Sacramento. I think he came from Sacramento, but he has a pretty good background. And I was like, all right, it can always get worse, as we've seen with Tottenham when you have a new board come in. But at the same time, it feels like I'm excited just to see some fresh faces.
For sure. Yeah, I very much hold the same opinion as that season ticket holder of how Justin Hack still managed to find his way on the field. I also held that opinion for a long time about Tavon Gray, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty much in the minority there because the guy is just constantly starting at right back for you. So
Tavon Gray is like, you just gotta love him because he has like an athletic profile that I just don't think the team has outside of him. And on top of it, he's a Bronx boy. You know what I mean? Like he's a homegrown Bronx kid. I've met him multiple times, and he's the same age as us. At least me and Sosa. Pooch is 27. But he's the same age as us. people
we
love
saw
people love
this
that.
podcast. It's crazy.
But I've met him, and like he's played against soccer a lot. I think he was playing at STA or St. Benedict's or something. And I remember talking to him. He like knew a lot of the same people. Most chill dude ever. So it's one of those things where it's like, obviously your personality shouldn't be the reason why you get on a field or why you play, but I think it's probably definitely helped, if that makes sense. Like he's well liked, so he gets benefit of the doubt.
It's a big year for him too. He's got to make the Jamaica roster for the World Cup. So
Pooch's native land.
next month. Yeah, Ancestry. Pooch, St. Louis thoughts? Any? Got any more left in the tank?
Mm, a little. On a bit of a more positive note, I do still love Miggy Perez. Pompeu, I know he's 26, but he feels still super young to me. Um, and then Caden Glover, I'm excited to see. But that's all the positivity I have
That's all we're gonna
regarding
use
St.
for this year.
Louis.
You guys
In New
gotta
Jersey.
withdraw Claus. No more Santa Claus.
I know. I will always have that 1 year. We'll always have that 1 year with Santa Claus, but
Right, where everybody
it
passed them
probably
or
I mean, when your star Brazilian player's last name is Klaus, probably not a true Brazilian. Like, he's not doing the boom chla, boom chla, boom boom chla, boom chla,
he's not
like
samba dancing on the
like
field, right?
Rafinha. Yeah. So, any more questions for us, Justin?
Yeah, you didn't come with questions.
No, I just wanted to know what you guys thought of your respective teams. I'm done after that.
Okay.
All right. Well, I guess it feels like a good spot to end it. We went longer than we were planning. So big shouts to Sosa. We only paid for 45 minutes and he gave us 55. So that's just the type of guy he is. But that being said, MLS is back. Are all games on Saturday? Every team plays?
No, most teams play on Saturday, and then they're doing their first Sunday night soccer event this week.
Oh,
Is that like a new thing? Like that's probably a good spot to end. Like tell us a little bit about I know Apple TV now it's not like a separate pass, right? Everything's integrated.
Yeah. So instead of having to buy MLS Season Pass on top of an Apple TV subscription, you just need that, and then you have access to MLS Season Pass, which is
Okay.
how it should have been from the jump.
Right.
But yeah, I think one of the new segments that they're trying to do on their broadcast is Sunday night soccer. So they either have one or two feature games of the weekend on Sunday. So I think, not I think this week it's LA Galaxy and NYCFC is the 7 p.m. game, and then Seattle and Colorado are the late night game.
Okay. That'll be fun. Pooch, maybe you and I start linking up, watching a little MLS ball.
yeah, let's
Some
do it.
night soccer, carve some time out,
Wait, Pooch lives all the way up in Morristown on Main Street though. So that's gonna be he doesn't like that I give away his address.
We're
Who's
getting
gonna come and find you?
close to the actual number.
I know. Don't worry. You know what's funny? He hasn't invited me to the new apartment yet. And I wonder why.
Well, he can't really get into the
just-
apartment himself. He's been struggling the past 2
Yeah.
days. So
Yeah. It's an issue in itself that I'll talk to you off air about, Ethan.
What's the problem? Everyone's friends here. Everyone who's listened to us knows us.
My key
There's
hasn't
literally-
worked
there's
the
one
last
guy in
2
Singapore
times
that's
I've
been-
tried to my
Yeah.
key hasn't worked the last 2 times I've tried to get into the building, so I have to figure that out.
So that had to go off air.
Well, I don't want people knowing that I can't get in. They're gonna think I'm an idiot.
Have you tried turning the other way?
Yes, I have. I had one man tell me it's left on this door and right on the other door. So when I came home today, I tried right on the other door, did not even budge. And I was like, I feel like that guy was lying, but everybody else gets in and out no problem. So it was working up until 4 p.m. yesterday.
skill
So
issue.
yeah, I'm feeling it might be a skill issue instead of a door issue.
All right. Well, the other funny part is, so Pooch, for those, obviously he moved to Morristown, New Jersey.
You don't need to keep saying it.
Pooch asked people to help him move in. I'm like the only one of his unemployed friends, and he didn't ask me, which I greatly
did.
appreciate.
No, I did ask you, and you said, I'm not helping. I'm not doing that. I asked you last week when I came over to record at your house. I said, hey, Brett's helping me. Do you want to come over and help too? Like, it's just hanging out, basically. And you said, I can't. I'm busy.
What day did you do it? I think I was
busy
working.
with what? You didn't say that. You said, I'm busy. And I said, busy with what? And you
I got
said,
shit to do.
and you said, oh, do you ask your employed friends what they're busy with too? And I said, okay, I guess he's not helping.
You were asked there. You said, don't profile me.
Yeah.
Why do people always want to know what I'm doing?
Right. Yeah, I was
You know
like,
what I mean?
okay, that's a fair. I did this, like, we don't have to put this part in.
I was
Sure.
walking around today and I found
Let
just end it before you start. Ethan was so close to wrapping it up.
Let me wrap it up. Alrighty, guys. Big shout out to Sosa for joining on the episode.
You did it too. You just
Sosa, you do it. Then you do it.
I'm not doing it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in to our MLS season pass episode. Thank you to Justin Sosa
Justine.
for Justine Sosa for joining us, our esteemed MLS savant. We're gonna be back with a regularly scheduled episode this Friday, dropping this Friday. But we wanted to get out this special MLS episode for all you fine people so you can know what to expect this season. Justin, Ethan, any thoughts before we head out here?
I just appreciate being back on and giving the people some MLS knowledge.
Great. Ethan?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Peace, love, MLS.